What? A minute now. That can't be right. I just hit the live button. So how have I been live for 1 minute? Yo, these people. I mean, someone has been on my stuff. Yep. I got no notification. This is not right. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Let me say peace, love, light to you all, and welcome to everyone that's watching, to everyone that's going to be joining the chat. Peace to you all. Hope all is well with everyone, with you, your loved ones. Brother I am Q, original lone wolf, Shata Hayat, Shata Bell, feathered son, honor. Um, I want to point out some things to folks. Um, and over the weekend, I'm going to do a visual live where I'm going to be screen sharing and showing you guys particular things. I might show you guys some within this stream here. Uh, for those who know what's going on, um, more power to you. For those who choose to be ignorant and not wanting to know what's going on, you know, best of luck to you and to you and yours. Um, everything that we have been saying for the past 8 years has come to pass. And even though it has come to pass, it's still happening right now. Folks who you shared particular information with years ago that was telling you it's conspiracy, and now that they're seeing it for themselves playing out, these are the same folks like, well, ain't nothing we could do, so what? You must separate yourselves from those people. Okay? Because those people are going to take you down with them. Because this is a sinking ship. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And in some way, it's not one's fault, but in some way, it is one's fault. And the reason why I say that, this information was purposely held back from you in school. You have to keep in mind that your public school system is owned by the mega corporation. So particular information they're not going to want you to know. You would have to go and research yourself on your own private personal time to learn particular things. And because the ones who spent their whole life in their establishment uh, has been educated by big corporate, you who are self-educated, they'll always try to talk down to you and try to make you seem like you're a conspiracy theorist because they were literally educated, or should I say programmed, right, or brainwashed by the corporation. And We must understand this. If Brother Malik Campbell has been a physician, well, has been studying the work of a physician for 30 years, he knows it like the back of his hand. Yeah? He's sat down with doctors, held all these conversations with these doctors. Doctors confirmed he know what he's talking about. But because he didn't go to the institutions, there's a reason why they call them institutions. Because he didn't go to the corporate institution, his neighbor or his family member, because he don't have that PhD, that doctorate degree, they will not take him seriously that he knows his stuff. They'll take the man that has that certificate that probably has 10 years of knowledge, not as much as Brother Malik, and they'll take that man's word over Brother Malik only because that man has a certificate, a piece of paper. You understand? Another example, you could work in a body shop, mechanic shop, never went to school to learn it, but you learned from an actual mechanic and auto body guy how to fix, work on any car. Doesn't matter the make or model. Doesn't matter the year it came out. Doesn't matter if it's a manual or if it's a computerized car. You can work on any car, the best in your field. But because you didn't go to that school and got that certificate, there will be folks out there that will downplay what you have to say because you're not a credible source, even though you know the work better than the guy that has the certificate, that went to the $30,000, $40,000 a year school to learn the same thing you've learned from an actual expert. This is the world we live in. So when you share information about vaccines, about history, identity, about business, about the structure of the policy officers, when you share these type of information, and because you're not the guy in the suit being called senator, congressman, Mr. President, mayor, or governor, your word is not taken seriously. You are downplayed. Now, you could be the biggest expert in all these categories, but you don't have that institutionalized certificate to say, hey, I was given approval by these colonial forces, by these modern day slave drivers. I was given approval by them saying, yes, he knows his stuff with this piece of paper created by them of the information that they gave you. But the man and the woman that is not programmed to go with the status quo of this system, of the men and women who are the faces behind this system, because the power is not with your congressman. The power is not with your senator. The power is not with your president, your governor, nor your mayor. They all have attorneys, lawyers behind them that draft up these documents. They're all a part of a board of trustees. Okay? So because you don't have the institutionalized certificate saying that you've learned the information that those who represent the institution gave you, which is a boxed information, limited. But I, the man who went out and did all sorts of research outside of the structure of the institution, you look down on me as if I am a joke, as if I am crazy, as if I don't know what I'm talking about because I went on and did my own research. Mind you, I know how to read. I know how to write. I know how to define and break down the history of a word and a word within a word and the etymological meaning of these words. So I know how to break down documents in its proper context. I know the difference between regular jargon and legalese jargon. I know that the languages are two different languages. I know when to use dog Latin and when not to use dog Latin, which you'd also call quantum grammar. That's dog Latin. You understand? But because I don't have that piece of paper, I am not taken seriously. I am called every anti this in the book. We live in a society. If it's a trend, it's not real. See all these videos going on? Man catches his woman cheating. It's on, oh, he got it on video. Big scene. The woman and the man start arguing. The guy that she's cheating with or the girl that he's cheating with is still in the house. 99% of those videos are fake. It becomes a trend. That means it's orchestrated. Okay? You see these so called YouTube life coaches, relationship coaches, and they're playing videos of women and men and that you think is in their private situation. And when you go fact check some of those videos, you realize half of them is fake. So the relationship advice that these folks are giving you because you like their swag, because this person's highly educated and they went to college for psychology. Listen. They went to college for psychology. You feel they know what they're talking about, not knowing that it's a scam in these social media streets. It's a scam. Can't comment on fake videos and try to push that on reality. But you don't know how to tell the difference between fake and reality. Even if it slaps you in your face and the palm print is right there on your cheek. You hear in the Senate hearing. Now, if I cough a little bit through this, I ate something earlier, and gosh darn it, I almost choked on a quinoa grain. So it's still there a little. So yeah, so it's kind of bothering me. But like I'm saying, pay attention to the Senate hearings. Go back and watch the videos with Rand Paul questioning Dr. Fauci and listen, okay? Don't hear, listen, because you can hear anything, but you don't remember what it said. But if you were actually listening, you will remember what it said. You understand? The man said that there are 12 facilities in the United States Federal Corporation, 12 facilities that does gain of function research. What is gain of function research? When they take something that is natural, synthesize it, turn it into something that is synthetic, and call it a disease or a virus that they purposely infect in the animal and human population to come up with a remedy, temporary remedy, to say that they have a temporary fix, never a cure. Go back, watch Forbes, go on the Forbes YouTube channel, and go type in Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. There's a 30-minute to a 40-minute video of a lot of his questions towards Fauci and him telling Fauci that he needs to go to prison. When they first was asking Fauci about the NIH and the Wuhan facility funding and researching gain of function research, Fauci denied it. Then the NIH comes out and says, yes, we were doing that with Wuhan. The original definition of gain of function is pretty much what I just said. They take in harmless bacteria or fungi and turn it into something harmful towards nature, towards the animals, and towards man. And they purposely infect the wildlife and man to then create a temporary synthetic remedy that does not last long. You know, in the crack game, the drug game, when the fiend or the addict got a fix, the dealer gave them something where they'll get a good fix, but they'll always come back for more. This is what's happening with you. So you're getting a temporary relief, remedy, not a permanent fix, even though they can do that. That is gain of function research. Now, they changed the definition of gain of function research because on the NIH website that it was on, Fauci had it taken down and redefined because he got caught in a criminal act on crimes against humanity. Do you understand? This is why he changed the definition. If you or I was ever given a ticket by an officer and wrote the wrong name on it, yeah? Well, those who don't know, particular information, and you wrote the wrong name on it, or look at the folks that did the PPP loans that didn't have a business. And come to find out, when they found out that this person don't have a business and they ran a scam, they lied. What happened to them? They were arrested, sent to jail, until they had to pay back all that money. Well, Fauci lied when he said the NIH never funded or participated in gain of function research. And when they were trying to make it seem like the Wuhan lab is the only place that did gain of function research, when the CDC has 12 facilities in the states that does the same thing. You understand? 12 facilities. 12. So, when you are being told, matter of fact, no, further along, go along and watch more of that clip of Ron Paul and Fauci, and you'll hear them tell you that they purposely infected populations with gain of function research to study viruses that they created. Purposely. Okay? But why would they need to do that? To keep the pharmaceutical industry in business. But who funds the CDC and the NIH? The pharmaceutical industry. Who is telling you that there's this massive pandemic? Who is telling you that they are the ones that have the numbers and they're the ones that has been storing the numbers? The same people that did the gain of function research. The same people that have the institutions that study gain of function research, that does gain of function research, are the same people that owns the testing facilities, are the same people that has the analytic numbers that operates and created the VARS system, are the same people that claim that they were collecting the data. If you've been paying attention to politics lately, you would hear a lot of these politicians going on each other. No, you can't do that. You can't do that because you were already involved with A, B, C, and D, and that's a conflict of interest, meaning you absolutely cannot do that. Well, if I own the company that created what they're calling a vaccine, and I also own the company that's doing the testing, and I also funded the hospital that the patients are going to, and I also funded your mayor's election, and I also funded your senator's election, I also funded your governor's election, and I dropped $380 million in a year into the media, the mainstream media outlets. Yeah, that is a conflict of interest with anyone that had any form of involvement with me. And because I'm one of your biggest backers, donors, you are going to do what I want you to do. And if you are a trustee on my board for my companies, you as that politician, you as that doctor, you as that nurse, you as that the head of staff in the hospital, you as that governor, that mayor, that congressman, that senator, that president that has divested interest in my company, you are going to be receiving some of the profits that my company makes from this whole thing. Do you understand what's happening, what's going on here in front of you? Now, if my company also released that, hey, this here that's happening is a 99.99% survival rate. Yeah. But I that information got buried because why? Why aren't you hearing it on the mainstream media? Because I spent 390 something $1 million in the mainstream media. And I say, I don't want that information to be made public. And then I say, well, since I spend this much a year on mainstream media, who is the mainstream media underneath? Alphabet. Alphabet. Social media outlets also. Google, YouTube is on the Alphabet. Who is Alphabet? A federal government contracted company. That is Alphabet. Okay? So if I say, I don't want this information out there in the public, if they find it, fine, let them find it. But we're going to censor this. That means Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, they're going to leave out that information and gaslight everything else. So they gaslight this thing. Oh, the virus has been taking over so on and so. And the virus is this and it's spreading like this and it's spreading like wildfire. Oh, the virus originated in Wuhan, but now it's in South Africa. And now here they're going to go with the African countries. And if you live in Connecticut and Jersey, you'll see that the medical commercials for this pandemic that they're calling it, but there's no such thing in the form of how they're putting it. Pandemics have to deal with fear, chaos. Epidemics have to deal with viral outbreaks, disease, plague. So why are they not even giving it its right title as an epidemic? Why are they calling it a pandemic? Because of psychological warfare. They use the mainstream media that they fund and own to gaslight this thing out of proportion, right? And because now you've been instilled with such fear, they now come and they hit you with these mandates that is not law. If you ask your mayor to his face, your governor to his or her face, is this a criminal offense? Is this law? And you say on your oath, is this law? They will never, either A, they won't answer, they'll talk around it, or they just won't answer you and get somebody to get you up out the room. A health order and law is not the same thing. You understand? A health order is them asking you take proper precautions, put on a mask, you know, go get the jab. Could you get the jab? And you have the right to say no, I don't want to. And they supposed to back up off you and leave you alone. But they don't do that because your public officials are in the pockets of the big corporations. They then lean on the mom and pop stores and restaurants. which makes up 60 to 70% of your economy, and tell them, well, we're going to make business very bad for you. They can't arrest these business owners. What they can do is keep sending their city inspectors in their facilities to find things to shut them down. So they bully them into telling you that you have to wear a mask before you come into the store or the restaurant. And if you're going to work in their restaurant, you have to get vaccinated. But you were supposed to turn around and bring a document to your boss, having them sign it, a liability document, guaranteeing you that what they're telling you to put into your body is 100% safe and will not harm you from now on into perpetuity. And you were supposed to put the governor and mayor, your sheriff especially, on notice because it is their job to defend law, not policy, when you ask them to. Do you understand? So when you hear the mayor and governor says, well, if you're not going to do this, and they're telling these restaurants to call the policy officers so that they can come give you a ticket, that means it's a misdemeanor, and a misdemeanor is not an arrestable offense. So that they can come give you a ticket for not putting on a mask or not being vaccinated. That is called rape. Look up the legal definition of rape and you'll see what it's called, what it is. If a man holds down a woman right now and says, I'm going to enter you, and she says no, because she has the choice if she wants you in her or not. But you still says, nope, it's mandatory. I'm mandating that this dick is going in you. And he does it anyway. That's what that jab is for those who don't want it. Your boss says, well, jab or you're fired. You don't want it, but you're forced because you have mouths to feed, you have children to feed. So you go get the jab. You see that New York mayor? Y'all think because he's a Negro, he's going to be there for you. New York, Chicago, and these big cities, you keep hearing them push, well, the African American community. You are number one on the list, and everybody else is casual, is collateral damage. Okay? And here's the reason why you're number one on the list. You're still in the process of being colonized and gentrified. As long as you exist, the truth about you being the heirs, the original Indians of the Americas, is still exist within your lineage, your bloodline. You were named, your titles were changed from Indian to Negro to African American to Black. Walter Ashley Plecker started that. Jesse Jackson reinforced it in the 1980s. Do you understand? They took you from being, they first started calling you Indian, then changed you from Indian to all these other titles. And then the natives that migrated to the Americas, they gave the term Native American and Indian too. But if you go, for folks who are in New York, and you go and you read the 1777 New York Constitution, because you still exist, you are the original freeholders of this land. Meaning all of this that they're doing and saying does not go for you. But because the federal created Pan African community yeah, educated you on being African American from a transatlantic slave trade. You understand? From a transatlantic slave trade. And they used the movie Roots to convince you that you are this when your grandpa, your grandma knew you were not. But because of the lynchings, the killings, the beheadings, that was going on in the 50s, there was a fear that was instilled within your people to keep this a secret because they didn't want that thrown onto you. So Boule Negroes who are members of the Boule came to you wearing a kufi and a dashiki, talking about uh, 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 um, Yoruba this and Yoruba that. Came and convinced you. Even before that, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drawley, them Negroes too. Okay? Some said, yes, this is your land, but they gave you a different title that has nothing to do with the land. Some come and say, yes, let's take you, we're going back to Africa, but you've never been. Do you understand? You've never been. Do you understand? So, because you've never been, because your ancestors have no tie to that, big corporations spent hundreds of trillions of dollars to convince you that you were and you are not. Do you understand? My tenant is downstairs arguing. If you hear that, she be giving him the business. But anyway, they did that. Read the New York Constitution of 1777. Go back to all of these states' constitution. None of their policies, none of their structures, none of their mandates have anything to do with you. As long as you sit here and you identify as African American, black, then you put yourself under their jurisdiction and you're identifying as corporate property. For Caucasians, as long as you put yourself as white, yeah, you put yourself underneath their jurisdiction. You understand? It's a jurisdictional thing. But the original freeholders of the land are the people who they now call African Americans and Negroes. This is why you're not receiving no goddamn reparations because you're still home. You're still home. The only one of you that will receive reparations that started receiving it were the folks, your ancestors that they took from here and brought into Liberia and Sierra Leone. You understand? Those folks. That's how reparations work. So you that are still here will never receive it because I guarantee if you go back and you dig into your ancestral records here, start digging into old deeds and titles, places that you see that they build up big high-rise buildings and these things. Look for the original deeds, the original titles to these lands, these properties. You'll see that it's going to go back into your ancestors. So this is why now a part of the major shutdowns that's going on. The first thing they shut down was your county clerk, city hall, governor's mansion, libraries. These were the first things they shut down. You couldn't go into these places, places that have the records. Do you understand? Education is key. Okay? Education is key. Proper knowledge is very important. When someone suggests something to you, don't just shoot it off or throw it off and say, that sounds off, sounds ridiculous. I'm not looking into that. You're only doing yourself more harm than good by being ignorant. And then when the damage is done and it hits you and you find yourself stuck into slavery again, and the next person's walking around free, you want to run to that person for help. But they offered you the help. They told you go look into so and so and you didn't believe it. It's not if you believe it or not. It's go do the research. Go look into what they're saying. So if someone comes to you and say, "Hey, do you know this thing that they're calling a pandemic has a 99.9% survival rate?" And you say, "Oh no, that's not true because Kamala Harris said 220 million Americans died." There's 300 million people that they said is here in the Americas. This heifer just told you 220 million died. How, Sway? Where? Where? Do you know what an epidemic is? It's not even a pandemic. It's supposed to be called an epidemic. Do you know what that is? When bodies are laid out in the street, you are not seeing that. When the CDC themselves admits that the death certificates are not accurate, they told you that even if a man committed suicide and the autopsy was done on him and they said that he had COVID in his body, they attributed the death to COVID. If the man had a heart attack, they attributed the death to COVID. If the man walked, tripped, stubbed his toe, and fell in front of an oncoming car and died, they attributed it to COVID. Listen to how Fauci talks. He used words like attribute. That means it's not COVID that killed them. If someone dies and they say, well, we attributed it to COVID even though they had this underlying ailment, it's the underlying ailment that killed them. Who here has ever asked, what are the adverse reactions if I'm already taking HIV medication, cancer medication, being treated for herpes, syphilis, uh, 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 um, diabetes, hmm? Alopecia, gangrene. If I'm being treated for these things already, what are the adverse effects if I do get that jab that's mixing with my already existing medication? Even on the herpes commercial, they tell you don't mix medication, but they're telling you, oh no, it's safe. But they're not signing the paperwork and telling you that in writing that it's safe. Do you understand? Then you go back into why did your Congress pass the bill that made all of these corporations exempt from any form of criminal prosecution or malicious punishment for lying to you about or misleading you on the information or causing any form of vaccine damages in these things. Why did your Congress do that? Because your Congress created what is called the CDC Foundation list. With all the companies that's on that list, they're the only ones that whose vaccines have been approved for emergency authorization, use only, or fully been or have been fully approved on that list. And those are the biggest donors to Congress that is on that list. Do you understand? So they will fabricate the numbers to keep this thing going because it's making trillions of dollars back in return in the stock market. Wake up. While they're and now I want you to also pay attention because all those companies that's on the CDC Foundation list, they tell you that the CDC and the CDC Foundation list is not the same thing. Okay? But the CDC was the very same company before it was called the CDC that did the syphilis experiments on Negroes. that did the HIV experiments on the public population. Okay? All these different medical experiments on you. And then the name was changed to CDC. And they claimed that it was a former military doctor or scientist that founded the CDC. Right? So let's run with that story right there. So because they're saying that this man founded the CDC, now on the weekend I'm going to do this weekend, this Sunday, I'm going to do the screen share and show you guys everything. So they're saying that this man founded the CDC. That means the CDC then is not a government organization. It is private. And you'll hear them say on the news that the vaccines are being pushed by the private sector, meaning the mega corporations, the hedge fund companies. And when since the hedge fund company have the best interest of the people? Ask yourself this question. But we're in the generation of the degenerates. The children that was born in the 2000s, the millennials, and these children's here are degenerates. Not all. Don't get offended. Not all. But there's a good portion for this to have gone this far. You can't tell them nothing. They won't listen to you because they think they went to Oxford and Harvard and Yale and UCLA. They know it all more than you do. But this information, the real information, these schools don't teach them. But we, us, who have these type of platforms, got these information from out of those schools' library books. And when you turn around and you show it to them, the students that go there, oh damn, I never saw that. Well, my professor didn't tell me about that. You understand? Literally. How did I find out that the United States is a federal corporation? On the Cornell Law Library. Cornell University, their law library. And when you go on their website, you type in 28 USC 3002 15A, and it tells you United States is a federal corporation. Then you go on the DUNS list, and you see the United States Corporation on the DUNS list. Then you go on the Security Exchange Commission, and you see places like Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and these places on the Security Exchange Commission list for corporations. And you realize that this whole thing has been about business, money, human trafficking, and spreading a poison. They say it's airborne. A lot of people have been having heart problems and pneumonia problems lately. But when you look up in your sky, you see the little airplanes and those streaks behind it and those streaks don't leave. They stay in the sky for like 30. And it's been going on in the community for like 3 weeks. Then when they stop spraying the chemtrails, 2 weeks later you hear, oh, we have an outbreak in so and so community. And they're telling you this is an airborne virus. And here they are spraying this shit over you. Chemtrails that they used to alter your weather. Make sure you have pneumonia during the sick season of winter. And you are not asking your mayor, hey, why are these planes spraying this thing in the atmosphere? What effect does it have on my health? What effects does it have on the water supply? What effects does it have on the crops, the food source? But this generation and the late 90s generation wasn't taught to think like this. They were taught Google computer, Google computer, Google computer, social media, social media, social media. Let's make money off of social media. They weren't taught about farming. They weren't taught about herbs. They weren't taught how to properly take care of themselves if they're sick. They weren't taught about how to detox heavy metals and chemicals out of their body. They weren't taught these things because the parents of those children let television raise their children. Do you understand? Going to have to wake up because this thing is moving faster than how it was even predicted. And you will go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow literally a slave. We told you that they were going to come with vaccine passports. No, 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 no. They're not going to do that. New York City is a you can't move in New York City without proving that you've been vaccinated. That's a vaccine passport city. Do you understand? Ask yourself this: how many people in City Hall have been vaccinated? How many people in the CDC have been vaccinated? Because when the CDC head on director was asked that question, she couldn't answer. Over 75% of the CDC staff have not been vaccinated. So how can you tell me to go get a jab when you can't even get your own house to take the fucking jab? Huh? How many of your politicians have been vaccinated? How many of the top members of the Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, the Saudi Arabian royal family? Yeah? How many of these people have been vaccinated? The top members of the Fords. How many? Pay attention, people. The Barclays family. How many of them? They can't tell these people, well, because you're not vaccinated, you can't enter this country. You can't tell them that. You know why you can't tell them that? Because majority of the businesses with 100 and plus employees and more that is signed on to the federal government is owned by these people. So you tell this man or this woman, you can't come into the States, they will be like, well, no, F you, I'm shutting down my business. But here they're telling you to go get vaccinated, or else you're going to get arrested and pay how many thousands of dollars of fine. Hmm? How many of you know that your police department have an EIN number, and that every time they ticket you, it's actually a tax that they're taxing you? That's supposed to be reported to the IRS. How many of you know that you can be tax exempt if you are in your proper status of as the original people of this land? You made everybody and their mother come and took your title and get tax exemption. How many of you knew that if you are tax exempt, if it's not a criminal offense, meaning that you've actually harmed someone physically, destroyed someone's property, that because anything else outside of that is taxing and you're tax exempt, a policy officer is not even supposed to look at you because if he gives you a ticket, he's taxing you. And if he arrests you for a misdemeanor and you are tax exempt, that he's breaking the law in a major way. You won't even come up in their system. But here, I am telling you this, but you have people out there, that's conspiracy. I don't believe shit that he's saying. That's on you. That's on you. Read the Constitution. Read the federal Constitution. Read your cities or your state constitutions. The very first ones. Read. Taxes was not for you. This is why they changed you from Indian to Negro to African American so that they could tax you. And then they gave the natives your title and gave the natives 150 million acres of land on reservations to keep you off of it. Because you became the human trafficking that brought in majority of the money. Then migration started coming in through Ellis Island and these different places where the Europeans now started coming over. And the lower class Europeans were being treated like you. They were being used for human trafficking, birth certificates, social security numbers, these things for tax purposes. Who are you paying taxes to? Oh, we're paying taxes to the government. Who is the government? The Federal Reserve, the IRS. But when was the Federal Reserve created? You think the Federal Reserve is old? It's not old. So who gave the money to create the Federal Reserve? When you find that out, then you see who you're paying taxes to. So you're not paying taxes to a government. You're being taxed because when you look on the dollar bill that you have, there's a signature on there. Someone's name is written on there. So you're being taxed for using the person that works for, that represents the folks who created the Federal Reserve, who controls the printing press. So their trustee wrote his signature on that dollar bill. And because it's their property, they're taxing you for using their property. Do you understand? Okay? Understand this stuff. Understand this. All right? So all of this has nothing to do with your health. Nothing. All of this is business. They made over $500 billion already out of this whole thing. Who, if this is a pandemic and people are dying by the millions, why are you selling? Why do you have third and fourth party companies that you are selling? Say, okay, I sell Sean Eddy the Primo vaccine. But then the third and fourth party companies from what is called third world countries, I'm selling them a totally different type of vaccine for the same fucking disease. Do you understand? Now, their government is getting a percentage of the money for each person that they get vaccinated. So every time someone in Jamaica gets vaccinated, the prime minister and the governor general gets a percentage. Do you understand? Every time someone here gets vaccinated, members of your Congress who are invested in these companies get a percentage. When did you stop looking into these people's financial backgrounds? Hmm? There are third and fourth party companies. Do you understand? And these third and fourth party companies are still umbrella companies for Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, Merck, Johnson and Johnson, Janssen, BioNTech. This is who they are. Wake up, people. Wake up. I'm not telling you not to go get this jab, and I'm not telling you to get this jab. I'm telling you to know what's going on before you put a foreign substance in your body that the companies who are making this substance and putting in your body are the same companies that are controlling the outcome. And these are the same, Johnson and Johnson settled this year a $29 billion lawsuit, hmm, for damages, medical damages, um, tampering with the numbers for their god damn it, it wasn't just a talcum powder. The folks that have received medical damages from their products, they tampered with the numbers to make it seem like it wasn't that much people that was being harmed. You understand? Do you know Pfizer has a history of doing that? Do you know Moderna has a history of doing that? Do you know Pfizer and Moderna, between the both of them, also settled over $20 billion worth of lawsuits on these things, that they were caught and found by the DOJ for fabricating records and numbers to make it seem like something was out of control so that they could sell more product. Did you know this? This is not a secret. It's a simple Google search for this stuff. It comes right up. And these are the companies that your mainstream media is pushing like they're the best companies in the world. And these things didn't happen 20 years ago. These lawsuits just happened. And they've been doing this for the past 15 years. And they are your biggest investors in the mainstream media. This is why they won't talk bad about them. They fund them. Those are conflicts of interest. Do you understand? So, because gain of function research is to take something harmless and turn it into something harmful. When you hear the head CDC doctor telling you, well, now you have Omicron and you have Delta, and then in New York you have B12456, and in LA you have 456213. You know, and these different type of strains, and then now you have your wildlife strain, and you know also Egypt had a Frankenstein strain in like 2010, 2013. Egypt had a Frankenstein strain. You understand? All these different strains. That means it was created in a lab, and these people are just infecting you now. Infecting you now. And for those who have underlying ailments, it is more deadly to you. And when it comes to natural immunity, they'll always downplay natural immunity. You hear them saying now that Omicron is evasive to the COVID 19 immunity. Well, the COVID 19 immunity that they're talking about is a synthetic immunity that they pumped and injected into you that wanes after 3 weeks to 6 months. It starts to wane. So when it starts to wane and you get sick, even if it's the common cold is going to hit you 20 times harder than how it would normally hit, because when you got that jab, you disrupted your own natural immune system. And you got a synthetic immune system pumped into you that replicates itself. So you have a COVID 19 immune system, but this strain is called Delta. This strain is called Omicron. So your COVID 19 immune system was not created for Omicron or Delta. Hence, you're going to need some booster shots for Omicron and a different type of booster shot for Delta. This is an experiment for something that they've admitted to creating and purposely putting out there in the public. Do you understand? Fauci told you your masks don't stop this shit, but they're mandating masks. Why did they mandate masks? Because back in the early 1900s, they did the same thing when it came to the flu. They mandated mask wearing, and they was charging people and sending people to jail to do free labor in jail for not wearing a mask. Now, in the Biden bill, they want to hire 86,000 new IRS workers because every time they ticket you for not wearing a mask, that goes to the IRS. Do you understand? It's deeper than that also. It's deeper than that, right? So while you're wearing a mask and you're getting jabs, here you have 4 million people coming across the border unvaccinated. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense And here this man is saying, for every person that got dislocated from their family members, he's going to give them $450,000. Then he comes on the podium and says he never said that. But in the bill, that $2 trillion bill that the Democrats passed, it's in there that they're going to get that. And what's also in that bill, for you, if you spend over $600 a month, that the federal government is supposed to track your spending pattern from there on. If you spend more than $28 a day, they're supposed to watch you and track you. And that 86,000 IRS agents that he wants to hire is to keep on top of you. Make it make sense. 3 to 4 million people coming across the border unvaccinated, but they're enforcing vaccine mandates on you. While you have 3 to 4 million people a day coming across the border unvaccinated. These people are coming from all over the world: Afghanistan, Kuwait, Ghana. Do you understand? Wake up, people. Wake up. What you are being locked into, majority of what's going on, China used Bitcoin to buy into a lot of American corporations. China. How so? How, Sway? How so? Because China owns Bitcoin. Anything that the Chinese create, anything that an individual Chinese create, the Chinese government comes in and take the shit over. If you didn't know. So if you have a Chinese billionaire right now today, when the Chinese government is ready, they go and say, yo, Chin, come here. Come here. We need to talk to you, bro. All right. You made $50 billion already for your company. That 50 billion is yours. But from here on out, you're partners with the Chinese government, and we own 51% of the company. So we are the head, the lead-in holders of the company. You still have some hold, but you can't make no moves unless we say so now. And why does he have to comply? Because China is a re-education camp on its hold. All of China, the entire country, it's a communist country. So it's either you comply or you end up like the tennis stars and some other billionaires that end up disappearing for weeks and then come back saying, no, we've never said that. We never say nothing bad about the government. No, 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 no. Me, this famous Chinese tennis star, I was not sexually assaulted. I don't know what's going on. I never said that. Okay, they were taken to a re education camp. Do you understand? An internment camp. You see them doing it now in Australia. And you see the indigenous Australians, the original Australians, disappearing more and more now. And they're saying, no, we're not doing that, but there's video footages out there. You see the World Health Director said this. Let me play the audio. I had posted it earlier, but I gotta play the audio. And you got a fact checking website saying that the man never said that. That he didn't say kill, he said still. They took off the K and put a CIL. And when you look up the definition, the etymology of CIL, it means peace, grave, burial, death. You understand? And then it goes back into Greek, Roman type of meanings, which goes back to meaning the same thing. Right? But let's pull up the WHO director and what he was saying. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's play this.
So if it's going to be used, it's better to focus on those groups who have risk of severe disease and death, rather than as we see some countries are using to give boosters to kill children, which is not right.
He literally said They're giving boosters. Some countries are giving boosters to kill children. Hmm? Let me see if I can find the name of the website. Let me see if I can find the name of the website that try to rewrite this article. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. This is why I said who's fact checking the fact checkers. Who's fact checking them? Who's doing it? And who hired these fact checkers? Like um the website is called HoustonChronicles.com. HoustonChronicles.com. They're saying that the man never said kill. He said Sil, CIL. Show you how stupid these motherfuckers are. Hmm? He literally said kill. KILL. And CIL still means KILL. And it goes deeper than that. It also means cell as well. The cells in your body. That 4x6 cell. You understand? Confinement, imprisonment, death, burial. This is what that word means. So them trying to be slick, trying to say he didn't say KIL or KILL, he said CIL. See, if you're not on top of your game, man, these people get away with so many things on you, and you won't even know it. Who's fact checking the fact checkers? It came out that the fact checkers for Facebook weren't even fact checkers. It was lazy motherfuckers sitting in their houses giving their opinions that they felt like your article was just not right or your post wasn't right, and they had the power to take down your stuff, so they took it down. They had the power to erase your Facebook page, so they erased it. Those are the same people that works for YouTube, third party companies, so they can say, well, it wasn't us, it was a third party company. And technically, they're not really fact checkers, but they're just folks that were given a job to work from home, and they were just, based on their opinion. You can't take down someone's stuff based on your fucking opinion. When a man is dealing with facts and you're coming with your opinion, no one cares about your opinion. Bring the facts. You understand? Anyway, with that being said, I'm getting up out of here. Sunday, I'm going to show y'all the CDC Foundation. I'm going to show y'all a whole bunch of stuff on Sunday. And when I do this, and I go down in grave detail, show you the faces behind this stuff, show you the face of the person that wrote the mandate in New York for the mayor, the law firm that wrote the mandate, knowing that it's an unlawful mandate. Show you the lawyers in New York that's behind this shit. Then you got to look who funds their law firm. Okay, what investments do they have that they make? And you see that this has been a takeover of the same system that they have going on in communist China. The mask wearing on all of this type of stuff. China's been doing that for over 30 years now. Okay? Can't come out and speak on certain things because they'll censor it, they'll take it down, and they'll lock your ass up. Take you to a re education camp and bring you back out. And you got to comply, or else your family disappears. All right? With that being said, I'm going to get up out of here. I'll just say give thanks to everyone. Give thanks also to my brother American Arawaks. He's going through a difficult time right now with some personal issues. But so he's taking a break from the YouTube. All right. But just put out some praise for our brother. Just that's all I can say. I can't say too much of his business, but just put out some praise for him. Okay. With that being said, I thank everyone for being here. Much love, peace, love, light. And Sunday, Frenchie Kush, I see you, brother. I see you. Sunday, we'll be going live, and I will show y'all the receipts. I can finally screen share now. So I'll show you guys everything. Okay. And then after that, we do another live where we're going to break down the meaning of the names of Mu, Delta, Omicron, so on and so, the occultic meanings behind it, and show you the reason why the CDC had the zombie apocalypse on their website, because the Z and the X are pronounced the same, Z, and the Z means the end. Okay, that Ouroboros eating itself means the end, to be born anew for something new on a new cycle. All right, this is all occultic and all planned out, and I'm going to show you guys. Peace, y'all.